G'day there folks, I'm Beanie, you're watching Beanie Draws, and in this video I'm drawing a Spino-Indominus, or a Indospinosaurus, or a Kratosaurus, or I don't know, what do you want me to call it? Let me know in the comments down below what I should call it. Either way, it's an Indominus Rex hybrid. Now with the placement of its underbite jaw and its jagged teeth, it's hopefully pretty obvious that this part is Indominus Rex. But then, I wanted to stretch out the rest of the head so I could incorporate a bit of a Spinosaurus look, so I could fuse Spinosaurus in with Indominus Rex. So to emphasize the Indominus Rex elements, obviously I put in the horn above its eye, but I wanted the lower jaw to be thick enough so it would look like an Indominus Rex, but not so thick that it wouldn't look like a Spinosaurus anymore. The other challenge I found when trying to create this hybrid was trying to determine what style of scales that I go with, because Indominus Rex has kind of more square-like scales on its jaw and rounded scales above its head, and Spinosaurus has little scales on its jaw and broader scales along its snout. So I actually got to rendering the scales pretty early on in the development of this hybrid. I went with the mesh grid style scales at the tip of the Spinosaurus's nose and a row of scales that Indominus Rex has above its nasal passage. The teeth were always clearly going to be jagged like the Indominus Rex teeth, however, crocodiles also have pretty jagged serrated teeth as well, so it fits in with the Spinosaurus look as well. Then, after applying scales around the eye socket, I began the long and sometimes tedious process of scaling the rest of the head. And as you can see here, there were a lot of scales to draw. So I went with some of them in a sort of a square format, some of them in a diamond format, some of them rounded, some of them triangular, also adding a few folds in the skin to kind of let the contour of the scales work around there, but it's basically just trying to make the scales look like they were organic and fit and suited the area, and not looking like they were just slapped on there for the sake of it. So I kind of used the work of Stan Winston and his studios to kind of figure out where some of the scales should go, how they should look, and trying to make it look as organic as possible, but not going too overboard so I didn't go crazy drawing scales. To help emphasize the rounded form of the head, I did add some extra lines to the bottom of some of the scales to give it the impression of a bit of a shadow. And then I decided it needed some color, so I decided with its eye I'd go with the Spinosaurus green rather than the Indominus Rex's red. And then for the rest of the head, I decided to go with sort of the white of the Indominus Rex and a bit of the red from the Spinosaurus. And because I decided to go with the red stripe along its eye, people affectionately called it Kratosaurus because of the red stripe along Kratos from God of War's eye. At this point, I also kind of realized that the coloring overshadowed the detail put in the eye, so I had to go over it with more scales and more detail. It's also not a bad idea to add some eyelids, some wrinkles, and refining the edge of the eyes. As I took a look over the overall image, I realized that the right hand side was very under detailed and bare. There was no neck, so I decided to draw more of a neck and more of the detail over there. And as you draw more of the detail, you see where other areas of detail need extra refining, like in the teeth area, which I felt needed some more shadows. And then I added some more shadows along the neck, and wrinkles and scales. Indominus Rex has a lot of separations in its neck. It almost looks like Ankylosaurus shielding in a way. It's got a lot of osteoderms, or spikes like a crocodile if you're not really familiar with the terminology. So I wanted to add some more scales around those osteoderms and add a bit more shadow around that area to define it a bit more. The Spinosaurus from Jurassic Park 3 has a bit of a white stripe going down along its neck and not much red, but I wanted to continue on with that Kratos vibe and put a red stripe down its neck instead. For the background, I didn't want to go too extreme, so I went fairly simple. There's a tool in Procreate called Zombie Skin, which I played around with, and I also used the pastel tool. The Indospinosaurus, or Kratosaurus as we'll probably call it, was starting to look a little bit flat, so I decided to add a little bit more color texture and also use shadow to emphasize the form more. Then I decided to play around with the background a little bit more, adding a bit more shadow to the jaw to emphasize the scales. And then some of the last things I do is add some white shines to the top of those scales, and I do that by using the white pencil tool and adding some thin white lines to the top edge of some of the scales. It's a new technique I've been playing with, and it adds an extra level of three-dimensionalism to your drawings. And then one last little thing I've been doing lately is adding a little bit of shadow underneath the scales, but not with black, but with a bit of a brown or a beige color. It's not as dark as a black shadow, and it adds a nice contrast to the white highlights with the white pencil. And there you have it, an Indominus Rex Spinosaurus hybrid, which some people might call an Indo-Spinosaurus, or as some people on Instagram have affectionately called it, the Kratosaurus, because it looks like Kratos from God of War, as I mentioned before. But if there are any other dinosaurs you'd like to see me splice together as a hybrid, or maybe have a favorite hybrid dinosaur from Jurassic World Alive that you'd like me to try and draw, let me know in the comments below and I'll see if I can give it a go. And if you like this video, give it a big old thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already done so and you want to see more content like this, and once you're done with that, you can check out one of the 2 videos I've suggested for you right here that you can watch right now. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video. Cheerio for now.